dangerous image about to arise in your head. Visualize a Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton sex tape. That is just one of the fake bits of content that were produced by an organisation called the Internet Research Agency, which it turns out was a troll farm, allegedly run by the Russians. All of this was revealed in the Robert Mueller investigation in the United States into the 2016 election, that really successful, uncontroversial thing. It turns out 13 people were indicted as part of this troll factory. So it raises all kinds of questions about trust on the internet. Troll factories, apparently a thing. Where are they? Do they have to be built under bridges? So many questions. To answer them, I have our panellists this week. Claire Riley is from the technology website CNET. Peter Marks is a freelance technology writer. He also works with the organisation GovHack. So let's just come back to that Mueller investigation, right? So what was initially revealed out of that?
Well, they've actually charged 13 people and 3 organisations who are being paid for by Russia, apparently, to generate content. So it's the kind of content that goes viral on social media. So they're creating hashtags, they're creating those little meme images, and it seems like what they were trying to do, and we've seen this shown in the US Senate last year in the investigation, they were generating things that basically undermined confidence in democracy in the US. Now, the way that panned out, of course, was that it tended to be pro-Trump and anti-Hillary. Now, we are learning more about these people. As you say, it was actually a job. They hired people who were in their 20s, who had excellent English, who went and worked in a building, and it sounds from the descriptions we have to be not a great work environment.
It's in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, and I believe they've moved recently, but and it's yeah.
They're upsizing.
Yeah, upsizing.
Well, they were so successful their last endeavour.
Yeah.
Well, they certainly were. And really what they did was they took advantage of targeted advertising and the network effects that they could use in social media to great effect.
So what comes out of this, right? So these 13 people have been indicted. Since then, there have been other people that worked at this organisation that have come forward and said they're really just scratching the surface. We've seen Facebook respond to this with a raft of changes to their newsfeed, but I'm curious about how you think revelations like this are going to affect the way we use the internet. Is there a trust factor that's shifting in the wider demographic?
I think there absolutely is. I think there's been a shift in the sense that we used to trust things that happened on Facebook because it was a network built around friends and family, you know? So if I see you share something with me, I generally trust it because I trust you. What some of these issues on Facebook were people starting Facebook groups, things like taking divisive issues about immigration, the Black Lives Matter movement, and turning them into groups and essentially just lighting a fire in the centre of the town square and watching the world burn. So the groups might have been started by these Russian troll farms, but of course there were hundreds of thousands of American and global citizens who joined them. It's that kind of the way that Facebook is built really allowed this kind of stuff to go unnoticed. And it is really how the advertising is built up. It's the way that advertising is suggested. A lot of it is done algorithmically, so there's not much human oversight. So what we're seeing from social media networks is a realization that we can't just let the machines run everything. We can't just have everything automatically programmed. We need to have some level of intervention. One of the things they're doing is saying that, all right, if you're going to run a political ad featuring a candidate for a federal election, we are going to send out a postcard in the US mail. You have to take a code from that and use that as verification for who you are. There are certainly ways around these things. There was evidence that the Russians actually came to America, set up virtual private networks so it looked like they were working on American computers, a whole bunch of other factors in there. But it's social networks saying we can't just let people have free reign. We can't just let our users do whatever they want because we're going to be held accountable in Congress and we're going to look bad.
So there is going to be a downside. I mean, that lack of no longer being able to be anonymous is going to be a problem for people who want to speak freely. And so it's going to hit all of us. Facebook is using two-factor authentication, as you said. Some of the other changes they've made are to no longer put things in your news feed that are from sites, just pages or organisations. They're favouring things like just information from people you really know. But we've learned from the trolls who've spoken out that they had an elaborate scheme of creating convincing-looking identities on Facebook and Twitter and other places, but also they were stealing people's identities. So they'd find someone, they'd use some sort of phishing attack to get their account, and then it would be a real account, and then they would use that.
Social security numbers, PayPal details, so they're really able to accurately pretend to be someone.
Of course, the thing about this compared to past propaganda effects is that it was really efficient. The Facebook advertising is really well targeted. So we saw that I think 11 million of the fake ads were viewed, but 150 million views of pages of fake individuals were actually seen by people. So it's huge numbers at very low cost. I mean,
and the same thing's happening on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit about the changes to Newsfeed in the sense that they have said, they've been quite public, Facebook, about pushing down Pages content. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that tackles this particular issue. They've put up a raft of reasons why they want to do it. They want to have, instead of just more time spent on the website, they want more time well spent. They want it to be more fulfilling.
No one is spending time well spent on Facebook, and that is myself included. It is dog videos. It is 97% dog videos.
I think that's your Facebook.
Yeah.
They paid the price though, didn't they? Lose 2 million active users in the US last year. So I'm wondering whether they were fake accounts that they've removed.
Yeah.
Or
there
is
is certainly
people
a
just
backlash.
getting over
Anecdotally,
it?
I speak to people who are just kind of sick of the Facebook effect. They're sick of having so much stuff from those pages get served up in their feed because their friend liked some stupid meme factory. I think the idea behind pages being de-emphasised is, imagine you've got 100,000 people in a group or a page.
Yeah.
You can very quickly broadcast out to 100,000 people rather than relying on the individual person-to-person kind of handshake of Facebook, like me posting on Peter's wall, you posting a funny link on my wall. I think trying to bring it down to that, how it's going to affect their financial proposition, how it's going to affect how advertisers want to be on the platform is really interesting to watch and play out.
Well, I mean, anybody that works in the media that has been reliant on a Facebook page for any of their traffic, anybody I've spoken to has just been like, Facebook's going to screw us, let's screw them right back. So we're going to shift off and put so much more focus on owned and operated platforms, websites, and shifting so much focus off Facebook because it's such a terrible way. They spend months and months and months courting publishers and media organizations, post to instant articles, post to Facebook video, and then for them just to kind of go, no, we're going to basically knock you from 5% reach down to 4% reach, which is devastating for so many publishers. It's just like...
It doesn't sound like a huge change, though. I have heard people say that it is bad.
That's a 25% drop, right? Like, it's huge. If you're page,
that
it's
correction
huge.
Was going to come. It was always going to come because entire news organisations and entire businesses built their model around this seemingly endless river of gold that they were going to get through Facebook, but they were relying on a third party, which was an external company, to bring them all their traffic, to bring all their engagement in terms of comments and interaction with their audience. That's a terrible way to build your media empire or your business. So I think people who were putting all of their eggs in the Facebook basket are learning a hard lesson now, but I think it was the correction that was going to happen, and we're seeing that, okay, I need to engage with my audience on my site, or I need to engage with, get the kind of stuff that's going to get them clicking rather than just trawling through a Facebook feed.
There's another side to this. So the Facebook and the other social platforms have been used by the Russians or whoever to distribute this fake news. But the fake news has actually got better. We're now in a world where you can have videos that look really real, and particularly if you're just scrolling past and you see, Obama saying something crazy, you might go, oh, he said that. And you don't even question it.
But it's the kind of thing, it's the fuel that relies on the stupidity and kind of political divisiveness of humans to succeed. So these deepfakes are succeeding because we've got a really divided political culture. We've got issues around... There's entire generations of internet users who have been brought up on not sitting down, reading a newspaper from a trusted
skim reading the news, and everyone, I do it.
Yeah, share it based on a headline only.
Exactly. Don't read the byline or get this video and trust it because it's sent from a friend. Yeah. I mean, the other really scary thing about all of this is this wasn't just happening online. The alleged Russian meddlers came in and they were paying American citizens to get on the back of a flatbed truck dressed as Clinton inside a cage in a prison uniform and drive through a street in a real town. So there's ways in which the internet is starting to bleed out into the real world, and everyone has that aunt that shares stuff. It's like, this is horrible, this is happening, and you're like, can you not see that this is not real?
I just go to Snopes, find it on Snopes, send them back.
Do you not have any sense of discernment? But that starts to play out in real world implications. And of course, this indictment said, well, there was no tangible effect on the election. And I call BS on that, because if you have a kind of a pervasive culture of negativity around one of the candidates, and we started to see that stuff was happening on Facebook and on social platforms, but real human beings were saying, lock her up, or real human beings were saying, but her emails, all of these things were happening in the real world because they're informed by an undercurrent that's happening online.
There is lots more of this in the podcast of Download This Show. Yes, we do 28 minutes and 30 seconds of it, and it's great. You can find it on whichever podcasting app you use or ABC Listen. It's an app that we built. You should get it. See you guys.